Today, we're going over another collection of unsettling internet oddities that have been on my mind recently. But before we get into them, a quick word from today's sponsor, Raycon. Well guys, it's that time of year when romance is in the air, and if there's one love language that we all share, it's the love of high quality sound. So this Valentine's, meet your perfect match. Raycon's Everyday Earbuds. Now you've heard me explain why the Everyday Earbuds are my go-to for everything, whether I'm hitting the gym, taking work calls, or just vibing to my favourite rock playlist. But the new and improved model is even better, with an impressive 32-hour battery life and multi-point connectivity, so I can seamlessly switch between my laptop and phone. And when I'm editing videos, I do that a lot. I've also been loving these sleek protective case covers. I picked this design because it complements my earbuds colour, and it's a fun way to show off my personal style. This case supports wireless charging, so I never have to take it off. And with Raycon's upgraded everyday earbuds, just 10 minutes of charging yields 90 minutes of battery life. So if you're ready to experience premium sound quality without the premium price tag, Raycon earbuds are the perfect choice and start at just half the cost of other top brands. Go to buyraycon.com/masquerade to get up to 20% off site-wide. That's right, you'll get up to 20% off everything on Raycon's website, including 20% off all headphones too, when you go to buyraycon.com/masquerade. This strange and unsettling rabbit hole was first uncovered by Reddit user Tawny Frogmouth, who wrote up their findings on the Unsolved Mysteries subreddit. On July 14th, 2017, 18-year-old Jesse Govani Nimajapol disappeared from Denison, Iowa. But what makes his case particularly eerie is the lack of information available. No major headlines, no investigative reports, just the bare bones of an unresolved case that remains largely in the shadows. All we know is what the National Missing and Unidentified Person System tells us about him. That he has black hair and brown eyes, that he's 5'5" and weighed between 130 and 135 pounds at the time of his disappearance. But a deeper look into his case file on Namus reveals some truly unusual details. First and foremost, Jesse's case is classified as an involuntary disappearance. Typically, missing persons are categorized as endangered missing, which is a broad classification and covers various circumstances. But an involuntary disappearance, that term is typically reserved for cases where someone's been taken against their will and where foul play is heavily suspected. So why was Jesse's case given this rare designation? Did law enforcement have information that they never made public? Another anomaly is Jesse's long list of aliases. Browsing through various databases, his known names include Juan Carlos Sime Nimaja, Daryl Jamal Brown, Ronaldo Alterio Colon, and Adexe Nimajapol, among others. The final anomaly, as you've probably gathered, is his missing person photo. Now I don't know about you guys, but I'm 100% certain that that is not an 18-year-old. To my eyes, it appears to be someone significantly older, maybe even in their mid-30s, using makeup or filters to appear younger. It's such an odd photo, considering the information released, and it's the only one used to depict him on official missing person databases. Strangely, Jesse did once have a page on the Iowa Missing Persons database, one which has since been removed without explanation. All of these details suggest that Jesse's story is far more complex than it appears at first glance. Here's where things take an even darker turn. Despite being officially listed as missing, Jesse's social media accounts remained active well after his disappearance. Sleuths have since found a LinkedIn page and a VK profile under his name, featuring pictures of what appears to be the same man in inappropriate poses. But 3 other accounts in particular stand out. First, a now defunct Twitter account, created in 2018, a full year after Jesse supposedly vanished. The bio originally read, "Soy un niño modelo, bailarín y cantante. Tengo 13 años." Translation: I'm a model boy, dancer, and singer. I am 13 years old. This alone is incredibly bizarre. Why would Jesse, an 18-year-old at the time of his disappearance, have an account claiming to be a 13-year-old child? The accompanying tweets only add to the strangeness. One post featured a picture of a young boy, who was clearly not Jesse, alongside the caption, "My new picture. I'm handsome." Then there are also videos on this account, featuring what appears to be an adult Jesse, dancing in minimal clothing. The fact that this account was operating after Jesse's disappearance raises major red flags. Either he was never actually missing, or someone else was using his identity to fake his online presence in a very bizarre fashion. Alongside the Twitter page, 2 YouTube channels linked to Jesse were also discovered. Most of the content consists of low-quality music videos, but some are far more disturbing. Those videos are slideshows of young boys, interspliced with images of a grown man. This video, for example, is titled, "The Little Guy from Central America, the Reggaeton Boy," and shows that same man role-playing as a child, dressed in shorts and a Minions t-shirt. Those images are intercut with photos of an unidentified young boy. Though some think this is all the work of a delusional fantasist who enjoys pretending to be a child and uses the photos of random boys to help create that illusion, there is a much darker possibility. That these videos are coded advertisements, calling cards that let other predators know the channel owner has illicit content to trade, possibly featuring the unknown boys in the videos. Now, if you aren't convinced that this man is the same person as featured on Jesse's missing person profiles, then these images, taken from videos on those same YouTube channels, should convince you. These photos are clearly of the same individual, wearing the exact same t-shirt and necklace, standing in what appears to be the exact same location. And if that wasn't enough, browsing through the past activity of one of these accounts, the thumbnail for one of the liked videos stands out. It seems likely that Jesse is just another of this man's aliases. To cover the last of his profiles, in 2021, comments left on the Iowa Cold Case website mentioned that 2 SoundCloud accounts under the names Aðalsteinn now Giovanni Nimajapol and Junior Giovanni Pol were both still active and allegedly contained CP. Their bios read, "I'm a child. My parents don't support me, and I sing and dance." If this case wasn't already unsettling enough, here's where things get even more disturbing. In 2018, just 1 year after Jesse's disappearance, a 38-year-old man named Pedro Nimajapol was arrested in San Antonio, Texas, on the charge of uploading CP material to Instagram. Looking at Pedro's mugshot, it's nearly identical to Jesse's missing person photo. The facial structure, the cheekbone shadows, the eyebrows, everything matches. Some speculate that Pedro may be Jesse's father or other relative, but personally, I think this man is Jesse, and that Pedro was yet another alias. Adding to the mystery, a Reddit user discovered that one of Jesse's other fake identities, Daryl Jamal Brown, was the name of a real person, a man who had died at 24 years old in Texas in 2016. That suggests that Jesse may have been using the stolen identities of deceased individuals to obscure his true background. How he came to get his hands on their IDs, though, remains unknown. If Jesse and Pedro are indeed the same person, which I'm sure they are, it's clear that his 2018 arrest didn't put an end to his activities. After all, he continued posting online under various accounts for years afterwards. There is evidence that suggests he fled back to Central America, likely El Salvador, to escape legal consequences in the US. Given that his known accounts went silent after 2021, it's possible he was eventually caught and imprisoned, or was otherwise silenced by the family of one of his victims. But for all we know, he simply learned to be more secretive when it came to advertising his twisted hobby with the world. The case of Jesse Giovanni Nimajapol, or whatever his real name is one of the most perplexing missing person cases in recent history. The bizarre classification of his disappearance, his extensive use of fake identities, and his continued presence online long after he was declared missing all point to a much larger story than what's publicly known. As of today, the authorities still have him listed as an involuntary missing 18-year-old on official databases. Question is, why? Was Jesse ever a missing person? Or was he deliberately trying to disappear? And if he was eventually imprisoned, why is there no public record of that? Most importantly, is he still out there, hiding behind yet another identity, while continuing to upload sick material to the internet? I sincerely hope that this mystery gets resolved. In January 2017, a series of posts began appearing on various 4chan boards such as R9K and subreddits like Maladaptive Dreaming, all created by an enigmatic user who went by the name Tsuki. Supposedly a 16-year-old male from the Netherlands, Tsuki explained how he had a second world in his head and detailed how the universe actually consists of numerous coded dimensions which all exist within an omniverse called system space. Moreover, he relayed how humanity exists within a system called life, which is due to go offline, and that those who don't take steps to protect their souls are essentially doomed to go down with it. As the human representative of the conglomerate that was set to destroy the life system, he and he alone had been created to teach internet users how they could go about saving themselves. He called this the Tsuki Project. Though it was unclear whether this was just an elaborate thought experiment or something Tsuki honestly believed, other users began showering his posts with attention, prompting the young prophet to set up a website dedicated to his project, systemspace.link. It's since been shut down, but entering the URL into the Wayback Machine, we can see exactly how it used to look. The main page is genuinely quite impressive, and the site itself very well coded. From the art, it's clear that Tsuki was heavily inspired not just by the concepts, but also by the aesthetics of Serial Experiments Lane, an anime which features a virtual realm called the Wired, which humans can enter by uploading their minds and abandoning their physical selves. Perhaps the thing that jumps out most though, is this section, which states the number of registrants above an ominous timer, one that was chronicling the days left until July 1st, 2017. Scrolling down a little further, we can read Tsuki's mission statement, where he outlined exactly what was set to happen on that date. You are currently in one of many systems. Your system is called Life, but there are many more in existence. This construct, called system space, runs on a type of energy called aurora. There is only a limited amount of aurora available to system space. Because of this, we must manage how the systems use aurora and ensure it's being used correctly. If the aurora is used incorrectly, then we reset the system. Unfortunately, the life system seems unable to improve, regardless of the number of resets it undergoes. Due to the openness of system space, we are forced to edit system space in order to correct our path. As a result of this process, life will be unlinked and purged. Immediately following this, activity within life will continue as normal. However, new bodies will no longer have souls, and the souls of bodies that die without having registered will soul shatter. Souls that have registered will be moved, after death, to the LFE system. After 150 years of severance, life will be completely purged. To register, users had to submit a handwritten code and a drawing, which Tsuki would then use to link their souls to the new system. He claimed that by registering, users, referred to as migrants, would transition from the current system, Life, to the new system, LFE, upon their death. Anyone who did register before the July 1st deadline and later died from old age or other causes would ascend to the new LFE utopia. Their consciousness would be implanted into a new body, and they'd be able to continue living in a larger and more advanced reality, a place where, and I quote, everyone matters. Those who failed to register or died before the unlinked date would not be able to migrate, and would instead have their souls shatter upon death. Within months, thousands had signed up, mostly fans of Lane and digital escapism, though no doubt a few were just lonely people seeking a community and somewhere to belong. Led by Tsuki, this new community forged an extensive compendium that detailed all the lore of system space. Reading through it, the adoption of Lane as the project mascot was an ironic choice. The anime, which I highly recommend, warned viewers of the risks of being chronically online. and now its main character was being used as the symbol of a group dedicated to detaching from reality. The Tsuki Project gained widespread attention after being featured in various YouTube videos and discussed on multiple platforms. Inevitably, theories began to spread regarding its purpose. On the surface, the whole project was nothing more than a harmless ARG. The more cynical thought it was a marketing stunt for a new game or TV series, with the timer counting down to its release. Some called it a scam, seeing how Tsuki happily accepted Bitcoin donations to buy storage space in the LFE, and made several $1,000s doing so. But the darkest theory that started circulating was that this was a death cult. That Tsuki was encouraging his followers to end their playthrough after the countdown expired in order to respawn in the LFE system sooner, rather than waiting for their bodies in this system to wither and give out naturally. After all, why take the risk, when, according to Tsuki himself, developing dementia or brain damage would result in your memories not transferring to the LFE system with you? Indeed, some members on the site's forum began discussing their desire to self-disconnect after the unlink date, July 1st. Tsuki's defenders highlighted a disclaimer that he added to the website's main page, in which he reminded registrants that they didn't have to transfer immediately, and urged them to live out their natural lives. But his critics accuse him of preying on the mentally vulnerable, intentionally recruiting new members from subreddits like Maladaptive Dreaming, whose users are self-professed excessive fantasists, and sucking said individuals into his own daydream reality. And though on the one hand, he was telling them to stay alive and collect knowledge for their next life, on the other, he'd leave messages like, "I don't want to force you to keep going through life, and if you really wish to die, we won't stop you. If you choose to, let me know beforehand so I can open the ports early." He also told anyone that was planning on transferring early to erase their hard drives and destroy anything that linked their deaths to the project. July 1st, 2017. The unlink date. Well, it came and went without much fanfare. It seemed as if the users who had expressed a desire to transfer to LFE ASAP were simply making dark jokes or LARPing. Some members allegedly passed away following the transfer date, sure, but there was nothing in the way of evidence to link their deaths to system space. But that would soon change. On July 13th, 17-year-old Jake Fair went missing from his home in West Kelowna, Canada. Not having social media accounts or a mobile phone, his family had no way to get in contact with him. When investigators arrived to examine his room for evidence, they discovered that Jake had both erased his computer hard drive and left a handwritten note on his bedroom table. One with 3 letters written on it. LFE. 1 month later, on August 12th, Canadian authorities discovered Jake's body in a wooded area near McDougall Creek. Foul play was ruled out. If the note didn't give it away, it's since been confirmed that Jake was an active member of the Tsuki Project. His own mother would later share a video that talked about system space and how it related to her son's death. The degree to which the Tsuki Project influenced Jake's decision to do what he did is of course unknown. Was it the main factor? Probably not. But did it encourage him to go through with a pre-existing plan? Quite possibly. I think at best, Tsuki created an ARG with some very irresponsible wording, and things got out of hand. Whether you think he should be held responsible for what happened to Jake or not, he never publicly acknowledged that his project could have pushed his most vulnerable members over the edge. Some of you may remember a 2019 video uploaded by Scare Theatre, in which he discussed the Tsuki Project. Unfortunately, Tsuki and or his followers went so far as to threaten Scare Theatre into taking that video down. In a later upload, Scare Theatre was able to uncover what he believes to be Tsuki's real identity using publicly available information. In response, Tsuki contacted the Fair family and attempted to manipulate them into having the video removed, going so far as to call his sister. Beyond this, Tsuki has a history of doxing and threatening people, and I wouldn't be surprised if he uses those tactics to silence those who allege any connection between himself, the project, and any deaths that may be linked to it. A CBC show featuring Jake Fair's sister has also mysteriously been wiped from the internet, fueling speculation about whether Tsuki was involved in its removal. Still, his repeated attempts to cover his tracks seem to have had the Streisand effect. Though archives of it still exist, the system-space website is no more. A whole drama unfolded on the project's Discord server when it became clear the concept had been plagiarized from the visual novel Rewrite, and that Tsuki was scamming and doxing his users, and as a result, the site imploded. But if you visit systemspace.net today, you'll find this cryptic video. Could this be a hint at the project's revival? Only time will tell. Certain images have the uncanny power to linger in our minds for weeks, months, even decades, especially when seen at the right moment, in the right context. For some, it's a scene from a horror movie that they saw far too young. For others, it's a moment from a video game, a clip from a shock site, or a disturbing, real-life photo. But for a lot of Japanese internet users in the mid-2000s, it was this. Let me explain. Recently, rumours have begun to surface of a surreal Japanese website said to have been popular about 20 years ago, one that supposedly cursed its visitors. The website was said to consist mostly of a white screen with ominous text, meant at its core an optic hazard, an image so haunting that once seen could leave viewers psychologically damaged. As one anonymous poster asked on Yahoo Answers, "Did this site really exist? I'm talking about that cursed website that's been discussed recently and has become something of an urban legend. According to what I heard, it contains a picture of a Torii gate. If you see that image and don't find and visit that same Torii gate in real life, a terrible misfortune will befall you." According to rumours, the website in question first gained notoriety in the shadowy corners of the internet, spreading across 2chan in the form of a chain letter. Users would be lured in by what seemed like an innocent feel-good story, only to find themselves clicking on a link that led to a disturbing site. But these days, you don't need to bait and switch people into visiting cursed media. Modern-day internet sleuths will seek things like that out themselves. The problem? None of them knew where to look. According to the urban legend, the site's URL periodically changes, as if the admin is trying to hide it from prying eyes. What makes that unsettling is that the site's creator is rumoured to have already died. Still, thanks to the wonders of the Wayback Machine, all we need to do is get our hands on one of those URLs. Searching through the old Japanese forum, Rocket BBS, fellow YouTubers Tara A. Devlin and Adam New discovered a bulletin board where users were discussing the horror game Siren, a cult classic from the PlayStation 2 era. But noticeably, one conversation branched off to talk about a different subject. On August 2nd, 2005, a user named Asuka made a thread titled, "I have a headache," and dropped what's believed to be the first known reference to our elusive site. This site makes no sense. I don't know what the intention was, but it makes me feel uneasy when I look at it. It may be okay for people who don't mind Siren. It might be a virus, but could someone please tell me what kind of site this is? niceday.findday.org. Responses flooded in almost immediately. "It's so disgusting. I feel like I'm going crazy." Even if you're okay with Siren, this site is not good for you. If you enter, you may regret it for the rest of your life. Well, it's a top-of-the-line creepy site, but what's its purpose? I'll look into it more thoroughly. I need mental strength. Yeah, I feel like I'm cursed. From what I've seen so far, it's one of the most dangerous sites. I remember. Apparently the administrator of that site was bullied in the past, so he started cursing people and making it public in that way. By the way, the people whose names are written in red in the Mabo page have already passed away. I don't know how true or false that is, but I think that's what happens. That's crazy. The same name as me was on that list. I feel really bad. It's too much. The conversation continued, with most users focusing on the so-called Mabo page hosted on the site. In this case, it was said to contain the names of those who had been cursed. Other responders mentioned that they had found a website with a similar URL, which contained photos of real dead bodies, and speculated whether they may be related to the Mabo list. So, headaches, a death note, instant regret. With so many descriptive warnings, only an idiot would consider peeking behind this curtain. Browsing through the archive pages of nicedayfinday.org, you'll quickly get the sense that you're inside a virtual haunted house. On the homepage, you're greeted by a low-resolution photo of a bloated human face submerged in water. Scrolling text ominously states, "Behind you." You saw it, right? While the various page options are listed as die, kill, curse, cry, shout, struggle, haunt, go insane, and writhe. If you drag your cursor over this section between the head and the links, this hidden text reveals itself. The bottom of the page contains a long list of every disturbing word you can think of: madness, murder weapon, stabbing, bludgeoning, burning, drowning, roadkill, phlegm, cirrhosis of the liver, seppuku, omens, skewering, mania. It goes on and on. Above that are several hyperlinks. If you choose to explore further, you'll find plenty of disturbing nuggets to sink your teeth into. A flashing page where the word die repeats itself over and over again. A section that contains an unplayable flash video. No one knows what it originally showed, but in a sense that makes it creepier. The bind link is even more unsettling, leading to a warped photo of a human face. Clicking the image itself leads you to a cryptic wall of senseless text, but a different link on the page will fill your screen with this. Clicking the fabled Mabo link brings up the administrator's personal death note, a list of names in katakana, some written in white, most crossed out in red, indicating that those individuals have already passed away after being cursed by the website. Which brings us to our final Easter egg, hidden on the landing page behind the submerged figure. Year by year, a man's head rises little by little from the bottom of the river. Ironically, by clicking on it, you'll only be pulled under. This is where the Tory gates have been hiding. Beneath the image of the gates is text which states, "I'm called. Curse, curse, curse. You too." You too, indeed. Because now, if you don't visit this exact location in the real world, your name will end up on the Mabo list. And with hundreds of thousands of Tory gates scattered throughout Japan, your prospects are looking pretty bleak right now. And thankfully, you don't need to be an expert geoguesser to save yourself. To demystify this urban legend, these gates have since been identified, and can be found in the Hanazono Jinja, a shrine in Shinjuku, Tokyo. The site's creator simply sourced this image from the web and posterized it. And in for a penny, in for a pound, the origin of the submerged head image has also been identified. It's a photo of a river ghost, taken from the cover of Aiko Gibbo's horror document Psychic Photo Collection. And that head itself? It's probably just a duck swimming in front of a rock. As for Nice Day Fine Day's creator, reports of his death were greatly exaggerated. and in 2023, he responded to an article written by the Suburo. According to him, the site contained a script that attempted to display the visitor's computer username on the Mabo page, creating the illusion that their name had been put on the death list. A fun gimmick which apparently hardly ever worked. He also said that back in its original state, the website had a lot more creepy details that have since been lost. The white background was formerly filled with the image of a Jizo statue. Some sections of the site had ominous music playing, and if you looked at the image of the Torii gates for too long, an onake would fly out and jump scare you. As for that rumour that the URL changed multiple times, well, that one was partially true. An earlier version of the website did exist in 2003 under a different URL. In the creator's words, "I originally made the site on Magic Island, but it seems to have been reported by someone and deleted. So I rented another server, and the old site, Nice Day, became Nice Day Fine Day." Rumours of it continuously changing URLs likely began after the domain expired. Unfortunately, Nice Day Fine Day is no more, but it's a great hidden gem from a simpler internet era that thankfully has been partially preserved. As I saw one comment put it, it's a cursed website that now exists as a ghost in the Wayback Machine. Originally, it was created to scare people who stumbled upon it, but as time passed, its use of Flash turned it into a time capsule of sorts, a relic of times gone by. And now, instead of being scary, it's almost a nostalgic reminder of the past, something its creator likely never anticipated. So now that you know it was all just a bit of fun, you can sleep safe in the knowledge that you don't need to book a flight to Japan to lift the curse, and given today's airfare prices, that might just be the greatest horror of all. Hey guys, Lizzie here, and thank you very much for listening. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my supporters here on YouTube and over on Patreon, especially my biggest supporters: George Lopez, Holly Lyons, Zak Horgan, Aðalsteinn Traustason, Alana Pons, asiamina, Azrael Warakai, Colin Monsma, Louthan, Farewelltattoosjaxfl, Gina Valera, Gracearchie, Hamish, Biluck, Itai Alon, LJB, Mistyblue Longie, Lulgjuraj, Pray to Jesus, TNS Mum, Terry Ford, and Yokai. Thank you guys so much for your continued support.